Napoleon Dynamite es de esas películas que seguramente viste imágenes en todas partes, ya sea la remera de Vote for Pedro o a John Hider bailando como un psicópata en un teatro. Hablé con John Grice, uno de los protagonistas de esta película. Él fue el queridísimo tío rico que me contó algunas historias del rodaje, cómo fue hacer una película con tan poco presupuesto, qué piensa del legado que nos dejó, por qué piensa que es una parte tan importante de la cultura pop, o por lo menos por qué piensa que es una película de culto, y un montón de cosas más, todas referidas a esa gran película llamada Napoleon Dynamite.
We now return to Mira Akian and Contre with our latest interview.
There was a guy who was kind of trying to be my manager. He was saying, "Look, I want to be your manager. I want to be your manager." And I was saying, "There's nothing. I'm done. I'm doing something else." He said, "Look, you don't have to audition for anything, but if anything comes up, I can get you a job. Would you consider it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Do whatever you want." So they contacted him on my behalf, and he sent me this script. And he was like, "I don't think you're going to want to do this. They don't have any money, blah, blah, blah." And I read the script, and by page 15, I was laughing out loud, and I called him back, and I just said, "Yeah, I'll do it."
So when's Grandma coming back?
I don't know. Not sure.
You don't have to stay here with us. We're not babies.
Talk to Annie Carolyn.
I knew immediately when I was reading it that it was a completely unique voice. I'd never read anything quite so different. I mean, I'd read a lot of things that were stylistically different, and they were trying to be. You know what I mean? Trying to be unusual, but you could see behind what they were doing that it was all intentional. The voice that they had created didn't seem truly organic and real. It felt forced and formulaic.
Yeah.
And when I read Napoleon Dynamite, it didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
It was just so undeniable. It was so different. It was a point of view that I was not at all familiar with.
You defined Uncle Rico like a mixture of David Hasselhoff, Burt Reynolds, and Elvis. What did you took of each of them to create the character?
That's a really good question. I don't know. After I had that discussion with Jared Hess, I went to the wig store and bought like a $40 wig and took it with me. and I said, "Look, I know yo creo that there's a wig story and in the movie because Pedro, shaves his hair and wears a wig. But I said, I don't want to play this like we don't want to make the cheap joke,
Yeah.
and make it a wig story. Like he has this wig snapped into his hair. It's a wig, but I don't want to play the cheap joke, When I first arrived, they didn't expect me to play it with a wig. They expected I was going to play it bald like I am. And I said, well, let me just show you this. And so when they did my fitting, all the producers and everybody were there, and they said, let's see your outfit with wig on and then go behind the wall and then come back out with wig off, And so we did every outfit with wig on, wig off, and then they all sat there and they kind of looked at each other and said, yeah, we're going with the wig.
And what's with the wig? Why a wig?
I went looking for an 80s style hairdo. I wanted to find like something that I felt like early 80s or late 70s. But I also was thinking about, Burt Reynolds wears a toupee. That first came up in my mind. And then I was thinking of David Hasselhoff's hair. And I just started to think like, yeah, this seems kind of cool. I mean, that was like the first step. And then I guess the rest of it was that sense of confidence.
Watch this.
What the heck are you doing?
I don't know if you actually hit him with the meat. Can you tell me a story behind that?
They knew that I played baseball for years, and they knew that I had a good arm. And so I was like, yeah, no, I can hit him with the stake. Because this was a very low-budget movie and we shot it on film, there weren't going to be a whole gang of takes. We didn't have a lot of film.
Yeah.
We were always hoping that we would get the next day's shipment of film, because we would run out. I think we did it all said and done 4 times, maybe 5 times. The first I tried to not throw the steak hard. I was just trying to lob the steak and hit him as he was coming up. Because, you know, if you throw a steak and hit somebody in the face, it could really hurt if you run through it, you know?
Yeah.
And so Jared Hess then turned to his assistant director, and I was standing right there, and he said, maybe we'll just move the camera in much closer, and then we'll just hit him from a closer distance. And I immediately said, absolutely not. I said, if you move the camera in and we hit him close up, the joke will never be funny. It'll be funny, but it won't be funny if it hits him from a distance. If that thing flies in from a far distance and hits him in the face, you're going to get one of the biggest. I'm telling you, you're going to get a great laugh. And I said, I can hit him. I said, but I got to throw it hard. I got to really, really throw that thing. And I said, and I'm going to need a bigger piece of meat. The thing you're having me throw is too small. I said, I got to throw a big piece. And John Heder was like, so throw it. Come on. So they got me a bigger piece of steak. Sure enough, he rolled in, and I threw that steak hard. And that slap hitting him, it's not put in later. That slap happens right when that steak hits him. It hit him. It couldn't have hit him more perfectly. It knocked his glasses off.
Yeah.
It gave him a bruise and a small cut on his nose, you know?
Yeah.
And then, if you notice, at the end of that scene, Ephraim, who plays Pedro, wasn't really supposed to leave right away. He was kind of supposed to stand there for a minute while John Heder's like going, what are you doing, idiot? You know? But the first thing he does is he gets on his bike and he rides out of the frame because he felt like he was going to laugh. He was going to break up. So he sped off out of the scene. But really, kudos to John Heder because he didn't lose. I mean, he said he saw white, you know, a flash of white when it hit him. It hit him so hard that he literally had a moment where he was dizzy for a second.
Yeah.
And the glasses hit the side of his nose and cut the side of his nose and gave him a bruise. And that wasn't supposed to happen. And for the rest of the shoot, his nose was bruised, you know? Yeah. But it was so good, and he hung in there. He did not lose character, and it was one of the. I mean, I think it's one of cinema's golden moments. It really is.
What the heck are you doing?
I better go.
Basically, it was Jared Hess who had heard that John liked to dance. I think he kind of wrote that into the end of the thing because he was like, I heard you like to dance. Like, I don't know what his plan was originally for their skit to be. You know, they were trying to figure out what was going to be their little skit. But then when he heard that John Heder liked to dance and was apparently pretty good at it, he decided to do the dance. And then Tina Margarino, who plays Deb, is a choreographer. So she choreographed the first couple of moves, and then it was all John on his own.
Yeah.
And they did like 2 takes. He had to clear the room. He was nervous.
Yeah.
And they had 2 cameras on him, and they did 2 takes, and that was it.
Man, I wish I could go back in time. I'd take State.
I think that the film has an element of nostalgia. I think that people relate to these characters first and foremost because everybody has known a Napoleon, particularly.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's known that guy who, like, kind of off the beam a little bit, and you can't help but be entertained by him. It has a lot of elements that are, that character creates, I think, a memory that we all have. We've all known this person, and maybe even been a little bit of that person ourselves sometimes. There's a universal kind of mixture of these characters. Even Uncle Rico, there's so many people that have their uncle that talk about nostalgia, about when they played sports and how they could have done this, or they could have done that, or they wish they had, So I think that it has an inherent nostalgia.
Yeah.
But I think also it engenders a real positivity. There's nothing necessarily necessarily negative about anybody in the film. I mean, I think ultimately everybody has for their flaws and for everything else, but they have good in them. They don't have, like, there's no evil and there's no duplicitous behavior. It's very straightforward. And I think it is shot that way too. It's shot very straightforward.
So, who's fighting tonight, Carlinda?
Don't know, don't care.
In all honesty, for me, I didn't really particularly enjoy it. I loved being all of us back together, and I thought the stories were really funny, and I loved the animation. I loved everything about it, but the only thing I did not like was how Jared Hess was asking me to play Uncle Rico. I didn't play him the way I would have played him. I played him really loud.
Yeah.
He wanted me to always be really loud, and I even to the point where friends of mine who've known me for years, when they saw the cartoon, they'd be like, "How come you're not playing Uncle Rico? Who's playing Uncle Rico?" I go, "No, that's me." And I hated it. Honestly, I hated it. I really, really hated it every time, because I just wanted to be Uncle Rico.
Yeah.
And I felt like he wanted me to be a kind of a cartoon. But meanwhile, Kip got to be Kip, and Pedro got to be Pedro, and Napoleon got to be Napoleon. And for whatever reason, I don't think I was allowed to, no, I want you louder, faster, louder. And I was like, that's not how he talks,